but definitely not necessarily here yet. I don't know if you can text her. But in the meantime, we could talk a little bit about the salmon issues in Northern California. I know that those have always been an issue, whether it's fall or winter Chinook.
But just so we know, the audience knows, we were on schedule, but the phone lines at the radio station from Frontier have been down for a week.
No.
And they were supposed to be up and going, and they're not. And so we had to reroute a different way, and we couldn't get on. So that was the issue. So now we got I don't know if she's back yet. I don't see that she's back yet. But anyway, let's continue with thing. I know we have a calling guest calling in at 4:20, and we can maybe take him a little earlier and such. But go ahead with what you were doing.
Oh, I'm just saying that right now what I've been seeing a lot is the focus on the Chinook salmon, which is kind of a nice change from the steelhead trout, just speaking from experience. And there's all this, there's always like...
Mobile.
Is Chris on?
No, I'm trying to get her.
Okay. So just to kind of update everyone, the State Water Resource Control Board is warning the Bureau of Reclamation's draft Sacramento River Temperature Management Plan may not do enough to protect winter run and fall run Chinook salmon, citing concerns that low end of September storage in Shasta Reservoir could leave too little cold water for spawning, which I know has always been an issue in terms of water flows and ensuring that there's deep enough water so that the water is cold enough for those salmon, because they need the water to be really cold in order to smolt and all of those fun fishy mating habits, and to get upstream. So there's definitely some concern. On May 15th, the board submitted comments on the April 29th draft plan, which Reclamation is preparing under State Water Board Order 9050 or 995. The order requires Reclamation to manage Sacramento River temperatures to protect fish species, including those winter run and fall run Chinook. So the board's letter points to Reclamation's projection that Shasta Reservoir could end September with 2.2 million acre feet of storage, which seems like plenty, but is not. Despite having relatively high storage earlier in the spring, and that was due to all those storms that we had. So again, this just goes to show that snowpack is incredibly valuable to our reservoirs, not just in the moment, but over time. So in the moment, it feels like, oh, we just got all this rain. Yay, all our reservoirs are full. Yay, everybody's happy, except for spring, right? So then water gets used in that reservoir, and instead of being able to rely on those snowpacks, we really have to turn back to the water that we have in the reservoir, which means that water gets drawn down really, really fast. And then we go, okay, so what water is left for us to be able to use in other parts of the state? Now, some agencies have recharged that water into the ground, continuing to rebuild their reservoir storage over and over and over, because water in the ground is safer than water in a reservoir. I don't know how many times I've heard that statement said over and over and over again, but really trying to make sure that we have that snowpack is critical currently to our water supply here in California. I don't think you guys have that snowpack concern, right, Rob? That's like, you guys are just kind of groundwater, surface water. Basically, yeah. If the dam is full, you're fine.
That's correct.
Even though I know that hasn't been the case for quite some time.
Yep.
So, well, getting back to the Chinook, and kind of there's a lot of uncertainty this year with the level of protection that will be provided. And so we're really looking at stronger salmon protections, which, of course, our water agencies are always afraid of, because we still need that water for other things. We know that the salmon are an important part of our biodiversity and ecosystem, but we also need the water for, agricultural purposes to keep food costs from skyrocketing again, which, as everyone is really feeling that pinch right now everywhere. I feel like with, kind of fuel rates rising, everything gets more expensive. And if food also gets more expensive because the water is low, I just don't know how people are. I read this thing over the weekend where people feel like groceries are a luxury. And I have to say, I'm feeling the same way.
I was at the market this morning with my wife, and I happened to pass by something that we used to buy for the kids. It's called Crustables. They're like little frozen.
Yeah.
$11 a box.
Yeah, like...
You can go buy the jelly the peanut butter and a loaf of bread for less than that.
But not much. I don't even know if you can anymore, because bread's like $6 a loaf, and then you get the jelly, and that's like $3 and $4 if you're getting the cheap kind, and then the peanut butter is even more. I don't know if you can get it for less than $11, which is what's crazy.
Yes.
And what about the gas it took you to drive to that market?
Right, Chris? Like, what are we talking about?
Oh man, I have a little 3-cylinder Manny Tranny car. Takes 7 gallons of fill up, and I never thought I'd see a $50 fill up in my little car. Haven't got there, but I got close. You know?
Yep, I do. I have the same thing. I have a tiny little Kia Rio, because I'm just a point A to point B driver. Okay, so I do love looking at cars, and I love knowing about cars, and I like to know a lot about cars. But like in terms of my own personal vehicle, I'm like, okay, I ain't made of money. So it's like the least expensive vehicle, and I'm thinking, okay, weighs nothing, it's got great mileage. Like, those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about in terms of purchasing. And then I purchase it, and it's still like $40 to $50 every time I fill up, and I just remember the days. It just makes me feel so old when I'm like, oh, when gas is $1 a gallon. And some people are like, when it was 5 cents, and I'm like, okay, let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
So Chris, I'm sorry you couldn't connect. The radio station was having a problem with the phone company and getting the link. They've been working on it for a week, and I talked to the general manager this afternoon too, and he told me they just told him that they're working on it. They've had over a week for the shutdown. It's been crazy. So we apologize. Yeah. We apologize to you, and we apologize to our listeners for us coming on late. But we're connected now a different way, and hopefully, obviously, it's working now. So, again, I told the general manager if he wants me to call Frontier cable and phone system, I'll be glad to do that and give him a piece of my mind, because they shouldn't, for a radio station, it shouldn't go down ever, especially for a week. Anyway, yeah. So what's new about DWR dismissing the second attempt to validate the Delta Tunnel bond financing bill? No one wants to do it?
Well, no. This validation thing is some weird legal thing that a water lawyer would have to tell you about. But basically,
and charge you a lot of money to do so. Sorry.
Yeah, but the gist is that DWR needs to do this and have a ruling by the court so they can pursue funding for the tunnel, or a funding vehicle for the tunnel, because the tunnel would be paid for by the water users, but the financing would be arranged through DWR, I believe. So, they've been trying to figure out how to do this. This is one of the two things that they have to cure in order to be able to get the tunnel built, especially if they're going to try it or get it approved before Newsom leaves office. The other thing is an issue dealing with the state water project's water rights. And there is a bill working its way through the legislature now that addresses the water rights situation. And the legislature already has ruled, the deadline for submitting a new piece of legislation is essentially passed. So that means the only way that they could fix this funding thing is it's going to have to be a budget trailer bill. So look for a budget trailer bill to pop up as they work on the budget, and we can expect there'll be a lot of resistance to that, as there is resistance to all things Delta Tunnel related. But that's the only direction I see that going. So we'll see. And also today, I don't know if you all talked about it before I got on the line, but had a coalition of conservation organizations put out their vision for Southern California water that basically, of course, does not include the tunnel. and it's sort of a vision for, well, I think it's nothing that I or Tara haven't heard before. Stormwater, water recycling, stormwater capture, clean up the groundwater, and that's and they believe that that would provide enough water for Southern California. I'm not sure that I necessarily think those numbers add up, but I'd be curious to know what Tara thinks about that.
Well, I think
numbers add up.
So this is the most AI piece of, like, it's so AI based, and it feels like somebody's like kind of wish list. But I definitely do not think those numbers add up, literally in any capacity. And the idea that, like, we're gonna, I'm like, conservation and efficiency, first of all, it's gonna be around $1 billion. None of this makes any sort of sense to me, and it doesn't feel like there's any sort of real detail about how this is going to even happen or what it means. But it's got all the header and bullets, and like it's so AI. I can't even with it.
But that's typical. They just tell you what needs to be done, but there's no plan behind it.
100%.
It's like we're cleaning up the homeless in downtown Los Angeles. We're gonna buy them all brand new teeth. They'd rather have the teeth than the drugs, which they're getting anyway, because they can go to these machines and get free drugs. I don't see the mainstream press pushing on any of the comments that people make about stuff like this. It's one thing to tell you, a panacea that's going to be, the world's going to be wonderful and unicorns are going to be running around, but there's no meat behind it. And
well,
as you said,
they're calling for things that they've been calling for all along. Southern California has been working a lot on conservation and efficiency, and they've actually done quite a bit towards it. I mean, they'd love to tell you how Southern California added 1 million residents on the same amount of water use, because they have been doing stuff. So, yes. And they continue to do stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that, but there's a lot more they don't put behind the words.
Yeah, well, and then stormwater capture, that's great. We all love stormwater capture. It takes land, appropriate land with appropriate geology, and that's a little constrained in Southern California, where we have a lot of development. But yeah, everybody loves stormwater capture. Let's do lots of that. But sometimes there's multiple years where it doesn't rain that much in Southern California. That's not going to help. Water recycling, yeah, we do that. We're a leader in water recycling. We're going to have this pure water. Los Angeles, they're going to purify, sewage and turn it into drinking water. I mean, all these things. There's nothing that's new that I see that's necessarily new or revelationary to me. It's just how do you pay for all of this? And again, when you have water recycling, that means you have to have water to recycle. And, I don't think it's reasonable. I mean, there isn't enough groundwater in Los Angeles to support that population, even if they do clean it up. I mean, I just don't see how it adds up. Although those are all things that we should be doing, and we are doing. We're making progress on all those fronts. They have Measure W, where they're, have funds now to put in more stormwater capture work. So these things are happening. I'm just not sure. I mean, I'm just not sure that it's enough to take care of Southern California's water needs without imported water.
Well, and I love this, like, it's so clearly agendized, because it has this, like, this is my favorite line of the whole document. Protect natural areas and California's $1.4 billion salmon fishing industry. Like, we're not going to give you any real numbers anywhere else, but the salmon fishing industry, we're going to be real exact on that particular number. And I'm just like, not just all fish, not everything, not protect our biodiversity. No, like, protect the salmon fishing industry. I'm like, where's Cal Trout? You know what I mean?
It's fish racism.
No, it's fishism. So it's just like, okay, guys, you got to be more subtle than this. Like, this is so plain to me and feels really agendized as opposed to actually solving any of these issues. Plus, you have this idea that, you know, they're like, it talks specifically about enhancing local investment, which means, if you're reading between the lines there, that says Southern California needs to, by itself, handle its own water problems, both financially and in terms of actual water usage. Because we're not together as a state. We're going to be Northern California protecting our salmon, and Southern California, like, do your own thing. And that's not the state. The state works really integratedly, and it even, like, that's not even dealing with the whole Central Valley, right? So, like, it's just this very isolationist approach to water, which we've proven doesn't work, because in some places in California we have water and in some places we don't. And not all of those places are in Northern or Southern California either. So, I don't know. This thing is,
Well, like I said, it's fish racism, and now it's socialism for fish.
yeah.
And if they check with the governor about how much money we don't have, and how much deficit we have, how can they come out with this and think it's going to be solved because there's nothing to pay for it? I agree with you, ladies. Totally agree with it. Well, we got to turn it over to our officials for a few minutes. And again, we apologize. It's not our fault. It's not the radio station's fault. It's Frontier. They don't know.
Frontier on blast.
So I'm gonna call a GM back this afternoon of the radio station before he transmits it out to anybody, and I'm gonna find out who can I call at them and complain. So anyway, thank you for all listening in. We're not going anywhere except for a commercial break, and we have a featured guest. And don't forget, go to mavensnotebook.com. That's Miss Chris Austin's baby, and she works tirelessly, 40 hours a day. It's not 40 hours a day. It feels like it. She works 40 hours a day just to get all the data out and get to us on our PCs or laptops or whatever we use in the mornings to see what the latest water news. And you can go there and also become a sponsor if you'd like her to give her a little bit, and she would appreciate that. So, Chris Austin, thank you very much. And I have to tell you, instead of the Wow Woman I call you, I was telling Chris, a listener called in and gave us a new one, and it was a WWWOW. That stands for Wonderful and Well-Balanced Woman of Water. So they're listening, listeners are listening, and now they're giving you all the improvements and all the titles, and that's good. You ladies are wonderful. So, Chris, we'll talk to you next week. You have a good weekend, and most importantly, to be safe. And we're going to go to our commercial break and be back with our featured guest, so stick around for the second half.
Southern California's Inland Talk Express is KCAA.
Water is one of the biggest expenses for communities, HOAs, universities, golf courses, and resorts. So keeping those costs under control, especially when rates are increasing while water supplies are being reduced, are often essential to a customer's survival. Managing water requires multiple skills, which is why it's been complicated and difficult until now. AquaTrack brings multiple skills and technologies together to help large system users conserve outdoor water and improve the health of their landscapes. AquaTrack's professionals are certified landscape water managers and certified landscape irrigation auditors. The company offers audit services, upgrade advice, technical expertise, and water use monitoring. We already manage irrigation water for the largest homeowner associations in Arizona, and we're prepared to bring our knowledge and experience to help others, including landscapers and designers. Give us a call and hear how AquaTrack saved one HOA some 430 million gallons of water and $200,000 in annual water expenses. AquaTrack, is Arizona-based, and you can reach us at 623-594-8689. That's 623-594-8689.
Take control of your business anywhere, anytime with the SiteOne mobile app. Designed for contractors on the go, the app keeps you connected to your account wherever the job takes you. When you're signed in, you get full visibility into your personal account without needing a computer. Check your contractor-specific pricing, see real-time inventory, create custom lists, and reorder from your product history or saved lists in just a few taps. Scanning QR codes makes managing products even easier. You can quickly add items to a list, view product details, or add them to your cart in an instant. Need to approve a quote or pay a bill? You can do it right from your phone. Track your orders, view invoices, even redeem your partner's program points for rewards that give back to your business. Plan smarter with built-in project calculators that save time and help you quote with confidence. Logging in is quick and secure. Use Face ID or Touch ID for instant access. Customize your experience by choosing your preferred language in English or Spanish. Looking to level up your knowledge? Browse, learn, and explore videos and articles, or find local events to stay connected with your SiteOne community. The SiteOne mobile app puts the power of your business in your pocket.
KCAA.
For the issues that occurred at the early part of the show. It wasn't our fault. It wasn't the radio station's fault. It was their phone company who had a big botch. They've been working on a problem for the last week, and it hasn't got fixed, obviously, but we found another way to route into it and make connections. So thank you for joining Tara and me today. We appreciate it. I want to introduce a person that I've known for over 20 years. I consider him a very, very good industry professional. He's worked in the irrigation business for a long time and very well respected. But we're going to talk about some other things that he's doing currently. So I'd like to introduce a gentleman named Richard Rastusha. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing great, Rob. Thank you for having me on this show. I wanted to be on this show for a long time. So thanks for making it happen today.
You're very welcome. Anytime you want, you're more than welcome. Just for the audience, I won't go back into your total background on why you got into the industry and sprinklers and all of that, but let's talk about your book, because that's something I'm interested in. What made you decide to become an author and write this Water-Wise Gardening and start the Water Trends newsletter, the H2O Trends newsletter?
You know, Rob, I absolutely saw a gap in what homeowners and even contractors knew about scheduling, how often and how long to water. I was even in a class, it was a training class, and they had a simple equation or a simple question of, how long should we water this plant, considering it's got a 1 gallon emitter on it, and they gave us a few more details, certainly not enough. But at that point, Rob, I heard answers anywhere from 1 minute to 4 hours. And it was so shocking to hear the differences. And I thought, wow, there's definitely a gap here. So, look, I wanted to kind of fill that gap for people and really help them understand that there is a very scientific way to calculate how much water to give your plant.
Yep.
So, do you have a different kind of idea between indoor and outdoor plants? Because I think of myself, and I know I'm not asking probably on the question list, but in my brain, I use so much less water inside than I like for an indoor plant than I would for an outdoor plant, even though there's really not necessarily a difference, but I just water them less. Like outdoor plants get watered every day, right? And indoor plants get watered maybe once a week. So I wonder why that's so different in our mindsets, and also what your recommendations would be.
Yeah, so that's great, right? I love that you asked that question for this reason. One, So one thing that really people have a hard time understanding, or a concept that's hard to get, but is really a key concept, is that when you water a plant, you should really water it the same amount every time you water it. The only thing that changes is in the frequency. So you mentioned outdoor plants every day, indoor plants maybe once a week. So really outdoor plants only on rare occasion should be watered every day. But what's the difference then? Why indoor plants less frequently than outdoor? And it really has to do with something called evapotranspiration, or how much the plant actually uses of the water and how much water evaporates out of the soil. So as you can imagine, indoor in a climate-controlled environment where there's no wind, it stays relatively, 72 degrees all the time, that there's not any intense sunlight, that the plant's actually using less water, and less water is evaporating from the soil. Where you go outside where it's windy and maybe very sunny one day and not so sunny the next day, you have other factors that plays into the water use, and so you get much more extremes from your outdoor plants, and as a result, the frequency is much more often.
Your H2O trends, what kind of content do they get each week, and who reads it?
So Rob, I started writing a blog, back in 2010 when I was working for Valleycrest. I started their first water management division, and then I started this blog as a way to raise water awareness and have some of the conversations you guys were having earlier before I came on, right? I find water very fascinating. So trying to raise that awareness. So I started writing in general about water, sustainability, irrigation, and then this just kept on for many years. And my blog would travel with me from company to company. So recently I started the H2O Trends Substack blog or newsletter, providing weekly information every Tuesday to the subscribers. And it's going to vary, right? We'll be talking a lot about water in Southern California this summer. I can tell you that right now. The Colorado River Pack is on my radar, right? These are the things that everybody wants to know about and talk about. So we're going to be giving good information about those items. And we'll also be giving general practical gardening and irrigation advice as well. So think about all things around water in landscape. And then, of course, one of the biggest users of water in California and really in the nation is agriculture. And we're going to talk a lot about that because a lot of times, we hear people talking about remove your turf, and we don't hear enough about what's the ag industry doing to conserve water. And this week, I had a gentleman that was a corn farmer that switched to Milo because he could grow the same amount of Milo as corn with half the water. And he was really selectively choosing the crops he was watering based on how much water they actually needed.
So apparently, I'm going to choke on I'm going to choke on this next question. So in terms of irrigation and farming and all of that, a lot of farmers are trying to use more efficient irrigation systems. And so is that something that you kind of do a lot of research in, or do you focus more on the plant, like the biology of the plant itself? Or do you look at kind of the holistic, how that goes in together? Or do you focus on that at all? Now I'm curious because you're talking about ag, which gets my ag brain running.
Yeah, good, right? Because that's what really needs to run for people right now, right? And up until 2 years ago, agriculture in California had more than 50% of the irrigation, flood irrigation, less than 50% pressurized irrigation. Now, we know that flood irrigation is the most inefficient way to water there is. And we also know pressurized irrigation is a more efficient use of water, and yields as a result of that more efficient use of water are actually higher. But the state of California, who we think is very progressive in all things, very slow to change. So your question, what is changing? So one, the technology, right? And drip irrigation has become a mainstay of a lot of the permanent crops, grapes, almonds. So that has changed. And then also we're starting to see maybe the choices of what people are planting change a little bit as well. And that's going to have to change, I think. And really in the long term, we as consumers, what we eat, we'll probably have to change that a little bit as well in the next few years.
Well, I'll stick with sushi.
It's very freshwater friendly.
So, smart irrigation technology has really exploded over the years. I've been involved with that as much as you. With controllers and sensors and weather-based systems. What actually is worth the investment for them? I know farming is real big into that.
It is interesting, and Rob, farming is moving in that direction. I started working for a ag irrigation company back in 2014. It was actually after I was at an event with Mike Barron, and we were talking about how I could really make a difference in water consumption, and we decided I better get into ag, and that's when I moved into ag irrigation. Now, it wasn't that much of a stretch. I got a master's in agriculture, but I was surprised in 2014. I really felt that the technology and landscape irrigation was ahead of ag at that time. Now, ag has made some significant gains since, but the challenge for ag still, I think, is the adoption rate of the technology. And there are a lot of growers that still do not want to adopt. And look, there's reasons for it, good reasons for it. They've tried other things, other technologies, other ideas, and have been burned in the past. So it's going to take us a little while longer to really show them, and that's what we need to do, show them the results and make them more profitable as a result of using technology.
So I know we've talked about ag for quite a bit, but just kind of moving back to kind of the focus of your book, which is to educate us on how to plant our own gardens. One thing that I know a lot of people, and I know this is a very common misconception, is that if you plant a water efficient garden, it looks like rocks and like 4 cacti. And I've also seen, as kind of doing my educational awareness on conservation, how lush and gorgeous really water friendly gardens can look with color and life and all of this stuff. So how do you identify or help people create plans for their yards so that it's more than just a Zen moment? I know we talked about sushi, so I'm just going to stick with that for now.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I was laughing as you said that about the water-wise garden. Don't forget the wagon wheel. Right?
Of course, the wagon. How can I forget the wagon? Like the giant wagon wheel. Oh my gosh, yes. So no wagon wheels for me, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you look at my book, you'll see a lot of photos. Right. It was published by Rizzoli, who's a big coffee table photo book company. This was their first venture into sustainable education. But there's a lot of examples in my book, great photos that people can use as examples. There's also something I really enjoy living in California, and it's the WUCL's website, Water Use Classification of Landscape Species website, and you can put in exactly where you live. And you can say, I want a low water use plan. I want a high water use plan. You can mix and match for your landscape. And it has a database of plants that it will put on your computer screen for you so you can really understand what they look like and see just how beautiful, some low water use plants actually are.
I'm starting to think that the Tier 5 water rate is a tax on people who don't understand how beautiful their yard could be if they just shifted.
You're right.
I love that. I've never heard that before. But I think that's a great way to put it. I hope you don't mind if I use that.
No, go for it.
It's free. Where can people get the book? How do they order it?
So you can get it. It's available on Amazon. It's also available almost everywhere. Books are sold right now. It's sourced in all the major book retailers, but Amazon's a real simple place to go and get it.
Is it going to be a number one hit?
You know, it actually, I had a very good start. In fact, we've already agreed to a second printing. So we're off to a good start. And, you know, I hesitate there because, again, what I see is my book gets more popular as water gets more scarce and expensive. So, yeah, I you know,
it's the right time.
We've got 60.
It's the right time.
We've got a 63% increase in water rates in Southern California coming in the next 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, I anticipate this will start selling some books.
You know, I see a neighbor of mine orders stuff through Walmart for food because they deliver it, and they buy vegetables and other stuff, you know, whatever they buy. But every time they bring something that needs to be cold, they put cold bottles of water in there, plastic bottles of water, bottled water. So if you order 3 or 5, 6 bags, you get a 6-pack of water free. And then I have one neighbor who takes that and he waters his plants with it. I said, you should be using that for when you want to drink it. And don't worry about the other. But they go crazy. Hey, back real quick on this last thing here, the H2O trends that you do. What's a good recent topic that you surprised your readers with?
So I think a couple weeks ago, you know, I really promoted this idea again of everybody is rushing to take out their turf, right? If you want to get a bunch of people passionate about conservation, start talking about taking out your turf. Water agencies in Southern California were paying as much as $6 a square foot to take it out of $200,000 an acre.
Are they still taking
$7 a square foot? That's
Yeah.
Do people still have to pay tax on it?
Yes. Yeah, it's tax. So maybe it's $6 after tax, but it was $7 a square foot. I was like, are you kidding me right now? They had that big, they got a big grant from the state of California to do that. So thanks.
Yep. Right. So this is right. So really, I don't care if you keep your turf or take it out. What I care about is that thinking that taking the turf out is going to be a solution to the water crisis. That's what bothers me, because if we take all the turf out of California and we put nothing back and take out all the irrigation that was irrigating that turf, we're going to save about 4.5% of the water is all. And so, again, I'm not saying don't take out your turf, but I'm saying don't make that as an excuse to stop doing all the other things we need to do.
You know, I used to have a conversation with, and his name is Bob Tincher. He was the assistant general manager of San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District, and definitely one of my water education, like he helped me formulate that part of my brain. And what he said was so shocking to me is that if we could just end the waste of water, we'd all be able to have a lawn if we wanted one. I don't know why somebody absolutely needs one, but there's so much more water lost in leaky pipes and not maintaining your irrigation well than there is in the plants that you have there. And I just find that super, super fascinating when talking about irrigation in this kind of space, that it goes beyond the plants you pick. And it goes into this idea of, because if you put in drip irrigation but then don't maintain it and then it's leaky everywhere, you're still wasting water and probably killing your plants. So how do you at all go into that in any of your like newsletters or any of that stuff? Like the idea that this isn't because some people go like, quick fix, I replaced my lawn. Now I have this new garden. Now I've solved my water issues.
Right. And as a matter of fact, the article I did 2 weeks ago was talking about the leaky pipes in municipal water. Right? We estimate somewhere between 25 and 30% of the water is wasted through these leaks. But you don't find a lot of people rushing to talk about that, promote how to fix it, or getting busy with the fix. So there are much bigger targets to point at, and I do raise those and point those targets out, because again, it's important for us in the industry to do what we can do, but we can't do it alone. And especially when there's such other large areas for conservation and savings.
How do you see, I've known you through Jane and others, and Husqvarna, and even the Rainbird stint in the Valley Crest. How do you think the industry changed since your days at those places? Because I retired from Toro, so I have the same probably understanding that you do. How do you see it?
Yeah, so I think Rob, when we first started, right, for me it was the late '90s. Spray head irrigation was probably a third or 35% of the business we were doing at Rainbird. It was a lot. And we talked about systems and engineering of systems and designing of systems. We talked a little bit about conservation, but not very much. Today, and we've got a lot more technology to manage water and to conserve water, and I think we're talking a lot more about that. 25 years ago, we talked maybe a little bit about the price of water, but look, I taught at the Water Conservation Garden at Cuyamaca College recently, and I had 3 people in the class that had $1,500 water bills a month. The water bills are getting so high that it's taking people out of the gardening hobby. So I think more technology today than engineering and delivery, and more talk about efficient use of water.
I know, Rainbird is famous for their 1800 spray bodies, and now the trend is, okay, you got a great spray body, but now you got to worry about the nozzle and is it pressure compensated?
You really can't talk about people's spray bodies anymore. You have to dial that back now. More politically correct.
Right. And then Bob, did you see it last week or the week before? Colorado did dial back the spray bodies and say we don't need check valves anymore and we don't need smart controllers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have a thought on that?
I'm still formulating one. I think one thing, if everybody does with their property, just like all these regulations they come out with, if you're going to build a home and you're going to follow the new regulations in California, well, that's one thing. And my bitch to that is, what happens if after the designer lays out the system the way it should be, with proper spacing and away from the curb and the pavement and all everything. Don't use a spray head and set it as a rotor and vice versa. But what I have a problem with, okay, so they do it and the house gets passed and they sell that house or they buy the house. 3 to 5 or 10 years later, they're selling the house. The system doesn't look like it did before. Doesn't work like it did before with all the changes, subsiding of the spray bodies into the ground and other things. Nobody makes it a regulation that when you go to sell it, it should be in the same condition it was when it passed the first time. Because it gets worse over time. We all know that. Different reasons. The nozzles get clogged. You get low head drainage on some things, and the lateral line just leaks all over underneath. Nobody knows it's there. You get spray bodies or spray heads or nozzles that get knocked off by by tractors or mowers and all this stuff. So I don't see a follow-up to it. It's all rush, get it installed like it's supposed to be, and we really don't care what it's going to be like down the road. That's my complaint. I don't think they follow through.
Yeah, I think it's a great point too. I recently sold and bought a house, and certainly the realtor came in and checked to make sure all my toilets were both low and my shower nozzles were both low, but we didn't talk about the irrigation system.
No.
And and boy, if I didn't have the right shower head, my closing was going to be held up. So they're serious about the indoor. Let's hope they get more serious about the outdoor.
I had somebody I applied for a rebate for the spray nozzles, and they sent a guy over to the house to look at it and do an audit of it. He didn't really do an audit with cups or anything. He just walked around, and I actually turned down the pressure lower than it should be. And he said, "Oh yeah, it's all passed." It was a waste of money that Metropolitan Water was sending people out who weren't educated enough to do that. Well, we got to turn this over to NBC. How can people get a hold of you if they want to talk to you and get some more information?
Yeah, so if you want some more information, get a hold of me through the H2O Trends at Substack, or just search H2O Trends Substack, and you'll find me that way too. There's an engine there to send messages to me, notes, chats, everything is there, and I really do appreciate hearing from people and their opinions and their challenges. I like to help them out. So
I want to come to one of your book signings. So
I'd love to have you there. I'll let you know.
Okay, I just am really dying to know, what is your favorite plant?
So, I really do enjoy, I like a combination. For me, I like lavender, I like boxwood, and I like roses. And you'll see that a lot in my garden. So the lavender and boxwood are very low water use, and the roses, they use more than their fair share, but I feel like it's a good blend and balance between the three.
Good deal. Well, Rich, I guess I thank you and turn it over to NBC because they're a lot bigger than we are, and they let us use their airwaves, so we appreciate it. I'll give you a call during next week and follow up with you, and then tell you how you can get a copy of this and do what you need to do with it. It's all yours.
Okay.
So
thank you to both of you guys today.
Okay.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, everybody, good night, good afternoon, and you have a great weekend, and a safe one, most importantly. And remember, if you like green, you gotta have blue. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda is sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
We say goodbye tonight to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It's also the final episode of the CBS Late Night Show altogether. It's been on the air since David Letterman started hosting back in 1993. Colbert's 11-year run comes to an end for what CBS owner Paramount says was purely a financial decision. ABC's Jimmy Kimmel and NBC's Jimmy Fallon will air reruns in honor of Colbert. The Who's Pete Townsend is teaming up with Primary Wave Music.
The publishing and talent company said they'll partner with the musician on the exploitation of his name, image, and likeness, and the development of future projects. Townsend says moving forward with the company at this time in his life, when most creatives might be slowing down, is a joy for him. Primary Wave's CEO Larry Mestel says that they're honored that the musician has chosen them as a partner and collaborator. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Quinta Brunson will develop and star in the new Betty Boop feature film adaptation.
The film will look at the relationship between Boop's creator, Max Fleischer, and his creation as he navigates the creative and commercial pressures of building one of the world's first animated icons. Brunson is partnering with Fleischer's grandson, Mark, to develop the film under their respective production companies. The project marks Betty Boop's first theatrical motion picture appearance in a starring role since the 1930s. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
And that's entertainment. I'm Daria Albinger.
KCAA.
President Trump has called off an executive order signing ceremony